maybe 20.
Ask me what I thought about the referees taking the Jet touchdown away yesterday.
It's too dated.
It's too dated?
Yeah, it's too dated.
It goes on forever.
Okay. So that means that you're in this era of your life where you're noticing the deterioration of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure the thought crosses your mind that at the end of the deterioration comes termination.
Sounds like a sci-fi movie, but go on.
My question to you is, in your worldview, what comes after your death, if anything?
Oh, that's interesting. It's almost impossible to be an atheist. It is. I'm guessing. I'm looking at you, and I know you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you're an atheist or an agnostic. I'm guessing. I'm guessing you're not hitting the church every Sunday.
Are you saying that or asking me about that?
Well, do you can say yes or no?
I could tell you about atheism.
Okay. Well,
that there's
all right.
two kinds.
You asked me. All right, so I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, my answer has no bearing on what you are. Right? No, it has nothing. And so I'll tell you what I think.
You mean yet? Because you might say something.
Oh, that'll change
that
you.
Will change me. Yeah.
You know, you're like one of the only people that I believe that. I believe you saying that. There's no way of knowing the end after.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
You can't. I spent my atoms spent 13 billion years
Mm-hmm.
of nothingness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good at it. We're all good at
You're
it.
referring to before you were born.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all good at it. We just that was that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a bad experience. Then we get some inkling in the head, and suddenly it's a bad thing to non-exist.
Mm-hmm.
So at worst, I go back to what I was, which is what I was good at.
Mm-hmm.
It's very complicated. I'm fine. The older I get, I think it's almost impossible not to think of how life is, what's after, what's after, whether you repeat this, whether there are multi-universes, multiverses, and stuff like that. I'm looking around, and I mean, if the Nietzsche's eternal return.
Mm-hmm. Which is a very baffling thing when you think about it.
Well, all the atoms come back together as they were, because if it's finite,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's infinite, it just keeps coming. Everything comes back together again.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, the same thing.
And for our viewers, let me explain this to you. Take a deck of cards that you buy at a store, and you take off the wrapper and everything, right? The cards are in perfect order. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack. Yeah, all the suits, everything is in perfect order. Okay, now start shuffling the deck. You're going to reach a point where it's so chaotic, you're not going to find a 3 following a 2 anywhere if you shuffle it long enough. It's going to be like maybe after a 2 will come a 6, and then maybe a queen and a jack. It'll be complete chaos. But in theory, if you keep shuffling and keep shuffling for centuries, they're all going to go back in order again. So why can't the universe be like that? And that it'll reach a point of maximum chaos, and then eventually it's going to all come back to the way it was.
Well, something has to be. Well, as soon as time starts, there's your death. You
begin to die.
Everything dies. Everything with time dies. What causes?
Although I don't know how seriously you accept that. Like, do you have a little message on your bathroom mirror, look in the mirror every day and see death at work?
It's bizarre. Well, you don't, unless you have it on your tablet there.
I thought of putting that on my bathroom mirror. I've got 3 other things in
You
there.
know, you don't have a thing in the front with you don't have your message in the front. I walked in, I was rudderless.
It was so cold. He's referring to, I write on the sidewalk outside my door, I write messages.
Yeah, you have to stop and read it.
And then I wonder how it affects the UPS man and the postman and of course other visitors who almost never say anything.
They read it.
Right.
They're nonplussed.
Right.
No, it's you know, if it wasn't right now I get along. I get around. I gotta be strong enough to shovel horse manure.
You drove here by yourself. You didn't need somebody to drive you.
Yeah. My wife and I do Meals on Wheels, so you know, there's less fortunate people older than us, but we're going to be there in 20 years. So when you say we're going to be there, it's a thing to say, but you can't grasp what that really means.
Yeah.
But you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. And how?
But doesn't diet, exercise, and sleep have an impact on how your life trajectory is going to live itself out? Aside from,
it helps.
I mean, there's car accidents too.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. I exercise every day. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. I love exercise. I love competing. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, you said you
there's the other thing.
can't tell what the future holds. You can say we'll be here in 20 years, but you can't say for certain.
Or whatever. Yeah, the fickle finger of fate just like says, you're gone. What's amazing is that human beings, we have self-awareness. We all come in, we know that the deck is stacked, we know we're going to die, and we get through it? We get through it? How the hell, how does a species do that?
It's more bizarre than even that. You look up at the stars and you're looking at infinity. And somehow you have to try to comprehend that. So what do? You put it out of your mind.
Yeah.
You start counting numbers and you realize, wait a minute, this is going to go on for infinity. There is no end. So you put that out of your mind. You cut something in half and cut that in half and cut that in half and cut that in half. And you say, how far can I go before I can't cut it in half? You got to put that out of your mind. So there's all these things we manage to put out of our minds and stay sane.
That's you're sane. I don't know about me. I don't know how much you can. I mean, I think that's the source of most of the anxiety is somehow or the other mortality somehow, and you self-medicate and.
Okay, so let's look at Camus' statement. The ultimate philosophical question is whether or not one should commit suicide. Now, how do you interpret that? And I'll give you my interpretation.
Well, yeah, I've heard that. I never thought about it. It's like, well, you know, he has as I. Just because it's going to happen doesn't have. You don't have to.
Okay, let me give you my interpretation of that. Okay, since you haven't thought about it, I didn't want to put you on the spot.
No.
There are 5 fundamental philosophical questions that we're faced with, and you just can't put them off. Like you can put off the infinity thing, you know? These you can't put off. Certainty and uncertainty, all right? You can't put that off. You have to have some kind of a stand on that. Injustice, how you handle it, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with mortality, your impermanence. You got to deal with your identity, who you are, why you chose to wear that particular sweatshirt, all right? And assigning value, namely, what's your motivation for getting out of bed today? Now, what Camus, I think, was saying is that if you try to lead a life where you put all 5 of those things out of your mind and just try to live with video games, etc., you're committing philosophical suicide. So I think what he's saying is that the ultimate question everybody must face is, are you going to try to resolve the 5 questions, the 5 issues, or are you going to commit philosophical suicide and just go with the crowd?
Did the guy that talked about Oz? No. Can you take 3 of those?
Injustice.
Yeah.
Impermanence, identity, uncertainty, and assigning value.
Well, it was said in Waiting for Godot that all those 5 are addressed.
Oh,
I read an interpretation
if
of...
If you study that, you'll find those things.
Yeah, they try to do all these things.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty... No, so that's a different way of looking at suicide. So it's not just...
Right, it's slow suicide. Yeah.
But it gives you a lot of time. If you're worrying about morals, and that you're not I mean, nobody. I guess some people are afraid of who they are and who they're not. Well, I'm just saying those are less scary than the big one, which is mortality.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that's the biggie. But maybe not. Maybe there's some people, they're more afraid of who they are, or
more invested in who they are. Yeah,
that's the big thing. They're not afraid.
Well, like when I guess this is true, that when Oscar Wilde was dying, he looked around the room and he said, either this wallpaper goes or I go. It's like...
Did you really say that?
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, it's...
I'd rather be here than in Philadelphia.
I mean, it's like, style is like just identity, style, environment, it matters so much.
If you've had a really rotten childhood and stuff like that, if you've been abused and stuff like that, who you are is almost central to the rest of your life. You're trying to, maybe you don't have, I don't know. Maybe you don't have enough time to do the other things. But at least Camus gave us five things. What are the other ones? No, that's very...
You got
morality?
Impermanence.
Yeah.
That's mortality.
Yeah.
Identity. Injustice. You got to have a sense of injustice and watch the news, because, I mean, you see so much injustice. You got to either turn away and pretend it doesn't happen, or make up some excuse. Assigning value, that has to do with like depression and just lack of motivation. And uncertainty.
Wow, you got them down pat. Not like the Department of Energy. I want that.
That's good.
If you were ever in a presidential or philosophical debate with, I guess all of them. If you're really into justice. Yeah. Your whole life could be around justice, and you can forget the other things.
Have you ever met anybody who says, I don't watch the news?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Because they can't handle the injustice. They see it, and they don't know what to do about it. They don't have any kind of critique.
Yeah, there are people.
And yet those same people, when I will give them my critique, they will dismiss it.
Yeah, yeah. It's too hard. I don't have an answer for what's going on now. Oh, yes, I do. No, you do. You have an answer. It's wrong, but we all have an answer. Why doesn't everybody be like me? Say that's the answer. All right, well.
Do you have a... now, you mentioned that in some of your family gatherings, there are certain topics that are not discussed, or is it that...
Oh, it depends on who, with whom.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a right-winger there,
You'll stay away from politics, then?
that's not going to happen. So, which is not unusual. Which
Yeah.
is not new nowadays. It's not unusual. But mostly we're liberal. We come from liberal New York. The kids were brought up that way. Mostly they married that way, with an exception. So it does give you an opportunity to see how the other half thinks. Not much thinking. Not much thinking. And I don't know. Maybe there's just two kinds of different... I read two different kinds of people. I mean, they've always been... in Rome, they had, you had the rich, and you had the plebeians, and the Gracchi, and there's always been the king, the rich people. They can't do anything. They can't do everything on their own, so they get the peons to fight for them somehow through religion, propaganda, bribery, whatever it is. They get to buy in. They get them to buy into, their agenda, and then there's the other people like us who can't organize because we're busy with the Camus thing. No, but that's not true too, because the Spanish Civil War, that was, both sides, the Republicans, there were a lot, there were a lot of artists, and that's what I've.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, maybe that was hyped, but there was a lot of smart people
Right.
who believed in the, in the cause and stuff like that, and put their lives on the line.
Yeah.
I guess Sartre, and during World War II, was he in the resistance? He did write. He wrote.
Good question.
He was resistance.
You're pressing my memory because I read
don't know.
about
He
this.
wrote Troubled Sleep, which is about the resistance,
The
and
flies, too.
He was into he was into the I don't know, but
Yeah.
we liberals, we follow a cause too. But the right wingers, point them in the right direction, and they're going. They're not going to question anything. I don't know. So maybe they're hardwired. Maybe humans are hardwired two different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, forget why do we have wars? Why can't we get rid of it? What the fuck? I wish it wasn't like that.
On the news this morning was one of the people who have spent a lot of time in the space shuttle, living in space, talking about his experiences. And they said, what about when you look out the porthole and you look at Earth? He said, when you do that, you say to yourself, I don't see countries. I just see one race of people.
Oh, yeah.
He says it's almost impossible to look at the Earth from space and see divisions and countries and separation. He says you just see unity. And he looked over at another person who was from Russia and said, is it just me or do you see unity as well when you look out the porthole? And she said, that's exactly what I see.
Yeah.
She said, you know, you don't see the separation. She said, imagine if the two leaders of our respective countries were here instead of us. And then I thought, well, that doesn't make sense because they represent constituencies.
Yeah, they do.
You know?
Well, we're not, whether we know it or not, the reality is that there are no more countries anymore. It's a globe because we're in the climate change thing all together.
Mm-hmm. So it must drive you crazy like it drives me crazy when people deny it.
Yeah. Well, we know why.
Right.
We know why. It's for money.
Right.
Everything's about money
Mm-hmm.
and power, and that's it. I'm guessing that the Koch brothers know that there's climate change, and it's
Which would almost make you think there's like a suicide impulse that they have for humanity. Like let's just worry about our short-term gains because the entire race is going to wind up perishing. So who cares? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Almost seem like they think that way.
I probably is.
You know, when I talk to a lot of right-wing people, I get the feeling like, do you have a death wish? You know, underneath it all, like you really don't care.
They do have to. You have to open your eyes, and maybe people just don't choose to open their eyes. But the people in power, their eyes are on power. Their eyes on power. They're not us. What, Leona Helmsley? Remember?
Yeah, she was like
only little people.
She was a hotel owner
yes,
who was a
she went to jail finally. Yeah,
she was a ruthless employer.
And she went to jail for not paying her taxes, she was quoted before she went to jail, before her problem, as only little people pay taxes. So they're different than us. That's how they see it. Like, you look at the Mercers who are bankrolling Bannon, they look like they're the product of incest. Just look at the father and the kid, and it's like, there's not a lot up there, except they got power, and they got money and they got power, and it's
affected the clarity of their thinking.
That's
like Harvey Weinstein.
That's their thinking.
Harvey Weinstein's power affected the clarity of his thinking.
Well, that's true, but he probably was sick too. I mean,
You see him as mentally ill?
No, maybe not. Maybe not. No, now that you mention it, there were sex addicts, but he was. No, you're right. Yeah, he just was powerful, and I want that, and I'm going to have it. I don't know if that's mental illness, but maybe not. But by the way, your PBS. How many shows on PBS are sponsored by the Koch brothers?
I don't know. Do you know the answer to that?
A lot.
Huh.
And I'm betting. I'll bet you the News Hours is sponsored. I think I've seen at the beginning. Watch the beginning. I respect PBS. They're doing what they have to do. But if the Koch brothers are giving them money, they're holding back a little bit. I'll bet. There's just no way to get around it. Unless you watch Amy Goodman, nobody gives her any money.
Yeah.
Do you listen to her?
I always read Democracy
Oh, that's right.
Now!
Yes, you were talking. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I read it every day.
Yeah, that's better than waiting for them to say the words.
Well, basically, when you read it, you're reading their script.
Yeah, you can skim it. Yeah. So
do you have any final words you would like to say to the people?
The people. Oh, come to my play. Come to my
It's
Christmas
dated.
play.
It's dated.
What?
That's very dated.
What?
Well, a year from now, when people watch this on YouTube, they're going to say, "When is the play?" Oh, it was a year ago.
Yeah, but I want them to look back into the past and say, "Wow, that was great," or "Look what I missed." I'll put it on YouTube.
Oh,
I'll put it on YouTube, and then they could watch it right away.
okay. So you're going to film it. You're going to film the stage reading.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course I do. I do that to all my stuff.
Will you
So I send it to my kids, so my kids can see it. That
Thank
never
you.
come to my things.
put me on the list? Because I want to see what you film too. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's just one camera. That's it. Just
As
stare.
long as I can hear the words.
Oh, yeah. It's a Christmas. It's my Christmas. I never wrote a Christmas play.
Oh, you should tell the people what it is.
Oh, it's about
You took the
Miracle on 34th Street. Only it's, you know, the part where Susie
wait. a minute,
gets the house. She's gonna get the house. She wishes the house. She has the house with the swing in the back and everything else. Well, guess what? Levittown was totally segregated. The government dictated that it would be segregated. FDR was in on it.
So it was one of those things that he signed off on. Probably.
He started the FHA loan. Yeah, and that was it. They weren't given houses. These new houses, they weren't given loans to developers to